Wake of yet another brutal murder at a South African university. Higher Health is urgently calling on all higher education institution leaders to come up with accountability processes and frameworks to help improve the safety and well-being of women across campuses. Let's find out how the organization believes this can be achieved. Joining me now is the center's CEO, Dr. Ramnik Ahluwalia. Doc, good evening, and thanks very much for your time. Now, given that the rape and murder of Uyinene Mkhwetjana, which is the most recent one we've heard of, happened at the post office and was perpetrated by a post office worker. We still have to talk, though, about the safety of women on campus. And I see in your statement saying it's about us men. So what exactly are you saying?
I think, Yuweka, thank you. First of all, I'd like to pass my condolences to Uyinene's family, her friends, and more importantly to the entire student and staff community in higher education, post-school education. I think we all are shaken today. And you're right. I think time has come to acknowledge that gender-based violence is an epidemic. It's an epidemic in our post-school education system, and we're very vulnerable when it comes to gender-based violence. And I think the most important part is, and I wanted to selfishly come today to use this platform to request all the parents and guardians. Tonight it's time for us to now engage our sons, our men, our boys. It's important that all the boys in our post-school education system, in schools, they need to understand what is he for she. He needs to stand for she. Such kind of horrendous acts of crime is not acceptable in our society. This is our future. You know, this is our next our bread earner of our families, a hope of a parent or hope of a mother. All it takes very hard to go into a college or a university to become a plumber, a miner, doctors, journalists, and we lose them. We lose a lot of economy like this.
But Doc, where do we begin? I mean, we come from such a largely patriarchal society.
True.
I mean, you know, women need to know their place. And I don't know if it's right to say that men need to protect women. I mean, we had somebody earlier saying women need to start protecting women. Don't fall into this trap of victimhood. We had somebody saying women need to carry guns. Here we have, and the interview I was doing just before this, where we've had hundreds of thousands of people signing a petition calling for the death penalty to be implemented in South Africa. I mean, we have some strong feelings out there. So what do we tell our sons, our brothers, our fathers? Because South Africa is a very patriarchal society. How do we break that?
I think I'm going to use an example. I'm going to slightly move away from this because we have huge epidemics in our young people. You know, we had a youth epidemic for HIV. We had a huge epidemic for TBs. What we did was we followed a second curriculum in our post-school education. We went on face-to-face, reaching 1 million young people every year on understanding about what is HIV, what is to prevent sexual behaviors, what is to ensure that we fight this epidemic called HIV. I think it's time for us to use the same army called peer-to-peer education programs. We are going to use our foot soldiers, which have about 5,000 young students every year across our universities and campuses. As much as parents and guardians are going to speak to their sons and we appeal to them, we're going to also start from the first year, as soon as they come into the post-school education system, to start going through the second curriculum called a peer-to-peer education program. And we have to make it. I think we're very thankful to all our vice-chancellors. We've got an agreement with them. We've got an agreement with all the TVET rectors. The second curriculum becomes one of the biggest curriculum in our higher education system.
What are you telling them?
And we are telling them that this is what it means to be fighting gender-based violence. What does it mean to be a man? I think the definition of a man is being absolutely ill-defined in our country. You're right, our society, our patriarchy nature, what we see in our culture has to change. It has to change from somewhere. It has to change from our next generation. If we as a generation have not accepted this, maybe it's a time for our next generation to accept this and maybe change us if we are not changing ourselves. And I think it's important for them to understand what a human life is, what a human being is. We need to understand what it means for us to respect. And I think it's not about just a man or a woman. It's about our LGBTQI community.
Yes, it's everything.
10% of our LGBTQI community through our research experience sexual violence on our campuses. I think that's not acceptable. I think they are one of the most intelligent brains that we need to harness them. We need to protect every one of us.
Shouldn't we be taking this to younger? Shouldn't we be taking this to primary school, where we are on a different level, obviously a different language? Are there plans for that? And I mean, we should be doing it already. We shouldn't even be asking, should we be doing that? Our education department should be.
I fully agree with you. I think it has to start much younger than a post-school education system. One of the biggest driver of gender-based violence, as per to a new study of WHO, was 65% of our gender-based violence in South Africa is preceded by alcohol and drugs. Drug and alcohol abuse is another epidemic.
Yeah.
Where does it start? What age does it start? Who talks about it? So I think you're right. I think right from a sexual orientation at a primary school level, right up to a post-school education system, a 15-year-old entering a TVET college, a 17 to 18-year-old entering a university, right at the first year. This high-risk assessments, this services, they need to be easily accessible to the young people.
Where do we find more information about what you're doing?
Go onto the website. It's everywhere. We've recently built about 80 offices in our TVET colleges. We are prevalent in every university. Every campus knows Higher Health, or HAIDS, which was formerly called itself. The peer-to-peer programs are always running. It's running every day. Exactly as the formal education closes, residences, classrooms, a dialogue, a debate, clinic services. Now we're going to add psychosocial services right at the doorsteps. We're going to capacitate our campus securities. Time has come to act.
Okay, well, we look forward to some feedback on this, I suppose, in a couple of months. It'll be interesting to see if the message is actually getting through. Thank you very much. That's Dr. Ramnik.